Picture a city where sewage runs through streets shared by 120,000 souls, where cholera killed
Master,
700
why is it
people
not
just
ready?
2 summers ago,
Patience,
and the
lad, the wood
bodies
must
were
settle.
stacked in
I
carts
see.
like
Thank you.
cordwood,
Good.
where stone cathedrals rise toward heaven while wooden tenements burn to ash in a single night. This is Boston, 1843. The old world is dying, the new world is building, and you're here to learn how stone becomes immortal. My name is Henry. I make these slow journeys into the past. I don't know if you're here to fall asleep or if you just want to know what life actually felt like back then. Either way, you're welcome here. Get comfortable. Here we go. The first thing isn't sound, it's cold. September cold in a Boston loft with no heat except the workshop furnace below. Your breath is visible in the darkness. A thin wool blanket scratches against your neck. The rough linen of your shirt, 3 days unwashed, clings to your skin with the dampness that never quite leaves this city by the harbor. You lie on a straw pallet, not a bed, a pallet, stuffed with straw that's breaking down into dust and needs replacing, but won't be replaced because straw costs money, and money is something you don't have. The wooden floor beneath the pallet is cold. You can feel it through the straw, through the thin fabric. Cold like the ground in Vermont before the first snow, back when you still lived in Chartfield and thought the world ended at the edge of your father's farm. That was 6 months ago. 6 months since you arrived in Boston with nothing except the clothes on your back and a letter from your village minister saying you were strong and willing to learn. 6 months since Master William Grayford looked at your hands, farm hands rough from plowing and splitting wood, and said one word, stay. Now those hands are changing. The calluses are in different places. Stone dust has worked its way into the creases of your palms, into the beds of your fingernails, into the very lines of your fingerprints. It will never fully wash out. Not for the rest of your life. You share this pallet with Declan Rourke, 22 years old, from County Cork. Escaped the famine that's killing Ireland, though escaped isn't quite the right word because the famine came with him. It's in his eyes. In the way he hoards bread even when his belly is full. In the way he wakes sometimes in the night, speaking Irish to people who aren't there. Right now he's snoring, a wet rattling sound that speaks of too much cheap whiskey last night and lungs that are starting to know stone dust the way all Mason's lungs eventually do. In the corner of the loft on his own smaller pallet, Silas Kemper sleeps in silence. 20 years old, German family. Orphaned 2 years ago, when cholera swept through the North End and took his parents in the same week, his mother on Monday and his father on Friday. He doesn't talk much. You've learned not to ask questions. The loft is maybe 15 feet across and 20 feet deep. The ceiling slopes where it meets the roof. In winter, snow comes through the gaps in the shingles. In summer, the heat from the workshop below makes it like sleeping in an oven. Right now in September, it's just cold and damp, and it smells. God, it smells. Not one smell, layers. Start with limestone dust. That's the foundation. It's in everything, your clothes, your hair, the back of your throat when you wake. Limestone from Indiana shipped by canal all the way to Boston. Stone that was an ocean floor 300 million years ago and is now being carved into capitals and columns and saints' faces for Trinity Church. Then coal smoke from the forge below. Master Grayford runs a small forge for heating his tools, for annealing chisels for the metalwork that sometimes needs doing. The smoke rises through the floorboards. The loft floor is the workshop ceiling and settles in your lungs while you sleep. Fish. The harbor is 6 blocks away. When the wind comes from the east, you smell it. Cod and haddock and mackerel, some of it fresh, most of it not. The fishmongers start their day at 4 in the morning and the smell reaches you by 5. Horse manure. Boston has maybe 8,000 horses pulling carts and carriages through streets that are mostly unpaved. The manure piles up. It's swept aside, not removed. In rain, it becomes a slurry. In heat, it becomes something worse. Declan's whiskey breath. Cheap rum, actually, but he calls it whiskey because that's what his father drank. 3 cents a cup at O'Malley's Tavern on Hanover Street. He spends a quarter of his wages there. You don't judge. Everyone has their price for forgetting. Mold. The walls of this loft are plaster over wooden lath, and the plaster is cracked and water damaged. Black mold grows in the corners. You've learned not to look at it too closely. And underneath it all, your own sweat. 3 days unwashed because water costs time and energy you don't have. You fetch it bucket by bucket from the public pump on North Street, and by the time you've hauled it up to the loft, you're too tired to do more than splash your face. This is how you wake every morning. The smell first, then the cold. Then the gradual awareness of your body and all the ways it hurts. Your shoulders ache from yesterday's work. You spend 8 hours with a mallet and pointing tool roughing out the basic shape of a capital that will eventually sit atop a column in Trinity Church. 8 hours of the same motion position, the chisel strike with the mallet, check your angle strike again. 2,000 strikes, maybe 3,000. Your right shoulder feels like someone drove a spike through it. Your hands are worse. The blisters from your first week have mostly become calluses, but there are new blisters forming on top of the calluses. The index finger of your left hand, the one that guides the chisel, has a deep cut across the knuckle where the tool slipped 2 days ago. It's healing but slowly. You're 19 years old and you feel 50. From below, you hear the first sounds of morning. Master Grayford moving around the workshop, the scrape of a stool, the clink of tools being arranged. He's always first up, always. You've been here 6 months and you've never once beaten him down to the workshop. You need to get up. The thought sits in your mind for a long moment, heavy and unwelcome. You need to get up, but getting up means leaving the small warmth you've created under this inadequate blanket. It means putting your bare feet on the cold floor. It means beginning another day of work that will leave you just as tired tomorrow. But the alternative is being late, and Master Grayford has a way of looking at you when you're late. He doesn't shout, he doesn't threaten, he just looks, and somehow that's worse. You sit up, the blanket falls away, the cold hits you like a fist. Declan stirs but doesn't wake. Silas is already sitting on his pallet, pulling on his boots in the dark. He glances at you, nods, one says nothing. That's Silas. Your clothes are where you left them last night. A wool tunic that used to be brown, but is now the color of old mud. Linen breeches that tie at the waist and knees. Wool stockings with holes at both heels. Wooden shoes with leather straps that are starting to fray. Your one good possession is your belt. Leather tooled with a simple geometric pattern. Nothing fancy, but it marks you as an apprentice to a master craftsman rather than a common laborer. In Boston, appearances matter. They matter almost as much as the work itself. You dress in the dark, pull the tunic over your head, tie the breeches. The stockings go on over feet that are pale and soft despite the work because your feet don't touch stone the way your hands do. The wooden shoes last. There's a bucket of water in the corner. You and Declan fetched it yesterday evening, hauling it up the narrow stairs from the pump on North Street. The water is cloudy. Bits of sediment float on the surface. You cup your hands, splash some on your face. It's cold enough to make you gasp. This is washing. This is all the washing you'll do today. You can hear voices from outside now. The street is waking up. A vendor shouting in Italian something about bread, you think, but your Italian is non-existent. A horse neighing, a child crying. The city sounds like it's always sounded since you arrived, loud and foreign and chaotic. In Chartfield, Vermont, population 230 souls morning sounded like roosters, and your mother making breakfast and your father already out in the fields. Quiet, predictable, safe. You will never hear that morning again. The ladder down to the workshop is narrow and steep. You descend carefully in the dark, feeling for each rung with your feet. Silas goes first. You follow. Above, Declan has started to stir, muttering something in Irish that's probably profane. The workshop is larger than the loft, 30 feet across, 40 feet deep. It occupies the ground floor of this building on Charter Street in Boston's North End. The front opens directly onto the street through heavy wooden doors that swing wide during working hours to let in light. Right now, before dawn, those doors are still closed. Master William Grayford has lit 2 oil lamps. They cast flickering shadows across the workspace, making the stone blocks look like they're moving. The stone is everywhere. Blocks of Indiana limestone stacked along the walls, some as small as a man's head, some as large as a coffin. Pale golden color, fine-grained, perfect for carving. This is the same stone they use for the Capitol building in Washington, the same stone they're using for Trinity Church. Trinity, the great cathedral rising on Summer Street, and started in 1733 as a small wooden church, rebuilt in stone in the 1820s, and now in 1843 undergoing a massive expansion. Gothic revival, they call it, modeled on the great English cathedrals. 2 spires that will rise 180 feet when they're finished, flying buttresses. Rose windows, carved capitals and corbels, and saints in niches. Master Grayford's workshop has a contract to produce 14 capitals for the new side aisles. That's what you're here for. That's what you've been working on for 6 months. Learning how to turn formless blocks into acanthus leaves and grape clusters in geometric patterns that will sit atop columns and hold up arches and remain there for the next 500 years, assuming you don't ruin them first. Master Grayford is at his workbench. He's a thick man, 54 years old, with gray hair and a face that's been scarred by stone chips and chisel slips. His hands are enormous and covered in calluses that have calluses. He trained in England at the York Minster Restoration, came to America 30 years ago. He knows stone the way some men know the Bible. "You're late," he says without looking up. "You're not late. You know you're not late. The church bells haven't rung for morning prayers yet. But Master Grayford says this most mornings. You've learned not to argue. Yes, Master, you say, the capital you started yesterday. Finish roughing it out. Then we'll talk about the tooth chisel." The tooth chisel. That's progress. You've been using the pointing tool for months, the basic roughing tool, blunt and crude. The tooth chisel is finer, 16 teeth across the blade. It's what you use to start creating texture to begin the real shaping. If Master Grayford is ready to teach you the tooth chisel, it means he thinks you're ready to move beyond pure labor into actual craft. "Yes, Master." He finally looks at you. His eyes are pale blue, sharp despite his age. Your hand's healing. You glance at your left hand. The cut across the knuckle is red and angry looking. "Yes, Master." "Show me." You hold out your hand. He takes it in his own massive paw, examines the cut with surprising gentleness. "Keep it clean," he says. "Stone dust in a cut like that can fester." "I knew a man in York who lost 3 fingers to infection from a chisel slip." "Yes, Master." He releases your hand, turns back to his own work. 3 of us today. Declan's not working till he sobers up. That gives us maybe 4 hours before the sun's too high and the light goes wrong. Don't waste them. You cross to your workstation. It's not really yours. Nothing in this workshop is yours except your debt, but it's where you've worked for 6 months. A wooden trestle holds a block of limestone, maybe 14 inches square. You started carving it yesterday. The design sketched in charcoal on the surface shows an acanthus leaf pattern. Classical. Traditional. The kind of thing that's been carved on capitals since the Romans. Your tools hang on the wall nearby. Pointing tools of various sizes. Claw chisels. Tooth chisels that you're not yet allowed to use unsupervised. Flat chisels for finishing work that's still months beyond your skill level. Bush hammers for texturing. Files and rasps. And mallets, ashwood mallets of different weights, because the weight of the mallet matters as much as the angle of the chisel. You select your pointing tool and your lightest mallet. 2 pounds. Any heavier and you'll shatter the stone. Any lighter and you won't remove enough material. The work begins. Position the chisel against the charcoal line, not perpendicular to the stone that will cause it to skid. At an angle, 30 degrees, maybe 35. You're starting to feel the right angle rather than think it. Strike with the mallet. Not hard, controlled. Let the weight of the mallet do the work. A chip of limestone falls away. No bigger than your thumbnail. Again. Position, strike, chip, again. The rhythm is everything. Too fast and you lose precision. Too slow and the work takes forever. Master Grayford can rough out a capital in 3 hours. It takes you 2 days. But you're learning. Every strike teaches you something about the stone, about the tools, about your own hands. After 200 strikes, you pause. Blow the dust away from your work. Check your progress against the charcoal line. You've removed maybe 1/8 of an inch from one section of one leaf. By the end of the day, if you work steadily, you might finish roughing out this single capital. There are 13 more to go, and this is just the roughing. After this comes the tooth chisel work, the texture work, the detail work. After that, Master Grayford will go over it, correcting your mistakes, adding the fine touches that separate competent craft from art. The capital you're working on now will take 3 weeks total. When it's done, it will be installed in Trinity Church. It will sit atop a column made of granite from Quincy, Massachusetts. It will hold up an arch made of limestone from Indiana. And it will remain there for as long as the cathedral stands. Your hands are making that. The thought is too large to hold for long. You push it away and return to work. Position, strike, chip. Position, strike, chip. The workshop fills with sound. Your mallet striking your chisel. Silas working at his station 10 feet away. He's further along than you, already using the tooth chisel, creating the parallel grooves that define individual leaves. Master Grayford at his bench using a claw chisel, working on details so fine you can barely see it from where you stand. The sounds layer over each other. Different rhythms, different tones. Limestone has a sound when you cut it. Not like wood, which is fibrous and gives. Limestone rings almost musical. Each strike produces a note. Master Grayford says you can hear the quality of the stone in the sound it makes. Good stone properly quarried with the bedding plane horizontal rings clear. Poor stone cut against the grain sounds dead. The stone you're working on rings clear. Time becomes strange when you work like this. The repetitive motion, the focus required, the thousand small decisions about angle and force, it all pulls you into a state where hours pass like minutes. You look up and the light has changed. The lamps are no longer necessary. Dawn has come. Through the workshop's front windows, you can see Charter Street waking up. The wooden doors are still closed, but the windows show movement outside. A cart passing, a woman carrying a basket, a dog nosing through garbage. Master Grayford stands, stretches. You hear his back crack. 30 years of this work has bent him in subtle ways. His shoulders are permanently rounded. His right hand, the one that holds the mallet, is larger than his left. Ethan, he says, your name. He rarely uses it. Come here. You set down your tools and cross to his bench. He's been working on a capital far more complex than yours. The design shows grape clusters and vine leaves intertwined with wheat sheaves. It's for the sanctuary, he told you once. Grapes for the wine, wheat for the bread. The Eucharist carved in stone. The detail is extraordinary. Each grape is individually rendered with highlights that make them look round despite being carved from flat stone. The leaves have veins. The wheat has individual grains. Look at this section, he says, pointing to a grape cluster. What do you see? You lean close. Study it. The grapes have different textures. Some smooth, some rough. Why do you think it light? The smooth ones catch light, the rough ones hold shadow, makes them look round. Good, why else? You look closer. Some grapes are ripe, some aren't. The ripe ones are smooth, the unripe ones are rough. Master Grayford nods. A small gesture, but from him it's high praise. Stone doesn't give you color, doesn't give you the luxury of painting something ripe or unripe. You have only shape and texture and light, so you learn to use what you have. He picks up a claw chisel. Watch. He positions the chisel against one of the unripe grapes, strikes once with his mallet. 5 parallel grooves appear in the stone. He rotates the chisel slightly, strikes again. 5 more grooves crossing the first set at an angle. Cross-hatching, he says, creates shadow, makes the surface recede. This grape now looks smaller, harder, less ripe than its neighbors. He hands you the chisel. Try it, on your capital, on one of the leaf stems. Your capital is nowhere near ready for detail work like this. But you take the chisel return to your station position, it against a stem you've already roughed out. Strike. 5 grooves appear, crude compared to Master Grayford's work, but there. Visible. Real. Again, he calls from his bench. Rotate 30 degrees. Strike again. You rotate. Strike. The crosshatch pattern appears. And the stem, just a rough outline a moment ago, suddenly has depth, has shadow, has reality. That's the craft, Master Grayford says. Anyone can remove stone. Any fool with a hammer can bash a block into rubble. But to make stone speak, to make it tell truth about grapes and wheat and the nature of things, that's art. That's what separates us from common labor. You stand there looking at the stem you've just carved, feeling something shift inside you. This is why you came to Boston, not for the money you're in debt, $39 after 6 months of work. Not for the comfort you sleep on straw in a freezing loft. Not for the safety. This city killed 700 people with cholera and could kill 700 more tomorrow. You came for this, for the moment when stone becomes something more than stone. Master Grayford returns to his work. The lesson is over. You pick up your pointing tool and continue roughing out your capital. But something has changed. Every strike now carries the awareness that this rough work is just the beginning. That what you're making now will eventually speak, will tell truth, will last. The morning passes in this rhythm. Work, focus, learn. Declan stumbles down the ladder around 9 o'clock looking gray and sick. Master Grayford glances at him, once says nothing, returns to his carving. Declan picks up his tools with shaking hands and begins to work. His rhythm is off, his strikes uncertain. He'll pay for last night's whiskey all day. Around 10 o'clock, Master Grayford straightens from his bench. Ethan, he says, I need you to run an errand. Your heart sinks slightly. Errands mean leaving the workshop, leaving the work. But you don't argue. Can't argue. Yes, master. He crosses to a locked chest in the corner, opens it, and takes out a leather purse. Coins clink inside. He counts out money carefully. $2, 50 cents, 25 cents, $3.75 total. Go to O'Brien's Forge in Charlestown, he says. Order 8 iron crampons to these specifications. He hands you a piece of paper with measurements written in his careful hand. He'll want $3. Tell him I'll pay $4 if he has them ready by Friday. If he can't do Friday, come back and tell me. $4. You hold the money carefully, feeling the weight of it. This is more money than you've ever carried in your life. More than your father earned in a month farming in Vermont. Don't lose it, Master Grayford says, and don't get robbed. Keep it inside your shirt. Don't show it to anyone. Don't stop at taverns. Straight to Charlestown, straight back. Yes, master. He returns to his work, the conversation over. You tuck the money deep inside your shirt against your skin, where the coins are cold and hard. Then you head for the door. Outside, Boston hits you like a wall. The street is chaos. Charter Street is narrow, maybe 15 feet across, and it's packed with people and animals and carts all trying to move in different directions simultaneously. You step out of the workshop and immediately have to dodge a horse pulling a wagon loaded with barrels. The driver shouts something in German. You don't understand, but you get the message. Move or die. You move. The morning is cold, but the sun is up weak. September sun that provides light without warmth. The buildings on either side of Charter Street are mostly 3 stories, brick and wood packed so close together you could almost jump from window to window. Laundry hangs from lines stretched across the street. A woman on a 3rd-floor balcony is shaking out a rug, sending dust drifting down. The smell outside is different from the workshop, but no better. Horse manure, yes. Fish from the harbor. But also cooking. Someone is frying onions. Someone else is baking bread. Garbage rotting in piles. Human waste from chamber pots emptied into the gutters. Wood smoke from 1,000 stoves. And underneath it all, the salt smell of the ocean 6 blocks east. You're heading north and west. Charlestown is across the Charles River. That's maybe 2 miles. Walking distance. You've learned the route north on Charter to Hanover West, on Hanover to North Street, then follow North Street to the bridge. The crowd on Charter Street is mostly immigrants. Irish mostly, but also Germans and Italians. Boston is filling with them. The Irish especially. They're escaping the famine, dying in Ireland or taking a ship to Boston. Those are the choices. So they come. 10,000 in the last year alone. They take the jobs no one else wants. They live 10 to a room. They die of cholera and consumption and are buried in mass graves. Declan is one of them. Escaped, survived, found work with Master Grayford. But the famine is still killing his family back in Cork. His letters home go unanswered. He doesn't talk about it, just drinks. You turn onto Hanover Street and the crowd thickens. This is the main artery through the North End. Shops line both sides, grocers, tailors, cobblers, taverns. Street vendors with pushcarts sell everything, bread, apples, used clothes, knives. A man is sharpening scissors on a grinding wheel, sparks flying. Another man, legless, is sitting on a wooden platform with wheels, holds out a cup for coins. You walk quickly, eyes forward. In 6 months, you've learned that don't make eye contact unless you want a conversation. Don't stop walking unless you want to be sold something. Don't show money unless you want to be robbed. The city is not kind to the naive. The city is not kind at all. You pass Trinity Church. You can't help it. You always stop at Trinity. Always. The church sits at the corner of Summer and Hawley Streets, just off Hanover. The old building, the 1820s structure, is still there, but the expansion has transformed it into something extraordinary. The 2 spires rise 180 feet into the Boston sky. Not as tall as some European cathedrals, but grander than anything else in America. The western facade is Indiana limestone, the same stone you work with every day. But here it's been transformed. The entrance is a massive Gothic arch carved with layers of detail, foliage, geometric patterns, biblical scenes. Above it, a rose window 24 feet across still being installed. Above that, the Gallery of Saints, 16 statues in niches, each one 8 feet tall. Master Grayford carved 3 of those saints, 10 years ago before you arrived, before Silas, before Declan. He doesn't talk about it much, but sometimes when he's had wine, he'll point to one and say, "That's St. Peter. I gave him my father's face." The scaffolding covers most of the facade still. Men are working up there right now. You can see them, tiny figures against the stone 100 feet up. No safety ropes, just wooden planks and faith. If they fall, they die. Simple as that. But if their work is good, if the stone is carved true, it will stand for 500 years. Their names forgotten, but their hands still there, visible in every chisel mark. That trade seems fair to them. One day it will seem fair to you. You stand there for a long moment looking up at the cathedral. The morning sun catches the fresh limestone and makes it glow. The rose window, even unfinished, catches light and throws it back in blue and gold. The whole facade seems to breathe. This is what you're learning to build. This permanence, this beauty, this testament to the idea that human hands can create something that outlasts human lives. A cart nearly hits you. The driver curses. You step back, remember where you are. Boston, 1843. Errands to run, money to deliver, work to do. You continue north. The walk to Charlestown takes 40 minutes. The bridge crosses the Charles River where it's narrow. Below the water is brown with sewage and industrial waste. Ships crowd the harbor beyond merchant vessels from Europe, fishing boats from the Grand Banks, whalers from Nantucket. Boston is a port city. Everything arrives by water. Charlestown is rougher than Boston proper. The buildings are older, more weathered. This is where the poor Irish live, where the dock workers and day laborers rent rooms for $1 a week, where the taverns never close and the fights spill into the streets every Saturday night. O'Brien's Forge is on Main Street. You can hear it before you see it, the ring of hammer on anvil, the hiss of hot iron meeting water. The forge doors are open. Heat pours out despite the September morning. Patrick O'Brien is at his anvil. He's huge, 6 feet tall, maybe 250 pounds, all of it muscle. His arms are covered in burn scars. His face is weathered leather. He's been smithing in Charlestown for 20 years. You wait until he finishes the piece. He's working on a horseshoe glowing orange-red. He plunges it into water. Steam erupts. Then he looks up. "Help you. Master Grayford sent me. He needs 8 crampons to these specifications." You hand over the paper. O'Brien squints at it. He can't read well, but he can read measurements. "When Friday, he'll pay $4 if you can have them ready." $4. O'Brien sets down his hammer. "For 8 crampons. That's generous. What's the rush?" "Trinity Church. The capitals need installing next week." Understanding crosses O'Brien's face. Trinity. The cathedral. Everyone in Boston knows about Trinity. $4, he says again. "Tell Grayford I'll have them Thursday. Good iron. Galway iron from my cousin's forge. None of this cheap English shit." You nod. "I'll tell him. And tell him Patrick O'Brien remembers when William Grayford was an apprentice himself. Green as grass, cutting his fingers on every chisel. Look at him now, master craftsman. There's hope for all of us." The walk back seems faster. The money is safe. The errand is complete. You allow yourself a small pleasure stop at a pushcart on Hanover Street and buy a hot potato. 5 cents. The vendor, an old Italian woman, wraps it in newspaper that's already stained with grease. You eat it while walking. It's the first hot food you've had all day. The potato is mealy and oversalted, but it's warm and it's yours, and for these few minutes walking through Boston's chaotic streets with a hot potato in your hand, you feel something close to contentment. The workshop is empty when you return. Late afternoon, Master Grayford is out, probably delivering a finished piece. Silas is sweeping the floor, raising clouds of limestone dust. Declan is asleep in the corner, still looking gray. You return to your capital. The work continues. Position, strike, chip. Position, strike, chip. The light is starting to fade. Soon it will be too dark to work. Candles aren't allowed near the stone. Master Grayford is obsessed with fire, has been ever since the workshop fire of 1825 that killed his first master and nearly killed him. You work until the light forces you to stop. The capital is perhaps 1/3 roughed out. The basic shape of the acanthus leaves is visible. Tomorrow you'll continue. The day after that. The day after that. 3 weeks of work to make one capital. 3 weeks to create something that will last 500 years. Your hands ache. Your shoulders burn. Your eyes sting from the dust. But the work is good. Evening comes. Master Grayford returns with bread from Russo's bakery next door, dense rye bread, dark and sour. He tears it into portions. One for him, one for you, one for Silas, one for Declan. Even though Declan is still too sick to eat. This is dinner. You eat the bread, slowly making it last. There's water from the bucket to wash it down. Nothing else. But it's enough. It has to be enough. After eating, you climb to the loft. The sun has set. Boston is settling into night. Church bells ring, Trinity, yes, but also Old North Church, Park Street Church, a dozen others. The sound layers over the city like a blanket. You lie down on your pallet. Declan hasn't come up yet. Silas is already asleep in his corner, curled into himself like a child. The cold is coming back. You can feel it in the air. Winter will be here in 2 months. The loft will be freezing then, ice on the inside of the windows. You'll sleep in all your clothes and still wake shivering. But that's 2 months away. Tonight you're just tired, bone tired. The kind of tired that comes from 10 hours of controlled, focused, repetitive motion. Your hands throb. The cut on your knuckle pulses with your heartbeat. You close your eyes. Tomorrow will be the same. Wake in the cold and dark. Work until your hands bleed. Learn something small about stone and chisels and the way light falls. Eat bread. Sleep. The day after that will be the same. And the day after that, this is your life now, has been for 6 months. Will be for another 6 years at least until your apprenticeship is complete and you can call yourself a journeyman and ask for wages that allow you to rent a room of your own and eat meat more than once a week. 6 years. It seems impossible, endless. But then you think about the capital you're carving. 3 weeks of work, and when it's done, it will sit in Trinity Church. Your hands will have shaped it. Your choices about angle and depth and texture will be visible to anyone who looks closely enough. In 500 years, someone will touch that stone. They won't know your name, won't know you were 19 years old and sleeping on straw in a freezing loft in Boston's North End, won't know your hands were bleeding or that you went to bed hungry most nights. They'll just see the stone, but you'll be there in every chisel mark, in every decision about rough and smooth. In the permanent truth of the work, that thought, that possibility, is enough to make 6 years seem bearable. You pull the thin blanket up to your chin. The cold settles around you. From below, you hear Master Grayford banking the forge fire. From outside, the city sounds horses' voices, a dog barking, someone singing in Italian. Tomorrow, the church bells will ring, and you'll wake to cold and dust and another day of the same work. But the work matters. The work lasts. You've earned this rest. Take it. Sleep now. For a moment, half a second, maybe less, you don't know where you are. The sound is too raw, too animal to fit into the framework of normal morning in Boston. Then your mind catches up to your body and you understand something is very wrong. The screaming is coming from outside. Multiple voices now, not just screaming, shouting, running footsteps on cobblestones. And underneath it all, a sound like wind, but not wind, fire. You're off the pallet before you're fully awake. Declan is already at the small window looking out into the night. It's still full dark. The church bells haven't rung for morning prayers. This is the dead middle of the night, 2 o'clock, maybe 3. Holy Mother of God, Declan whispers. You cross to the window. Look out. The sky to the north is orange, not the orange of sunset or sunrise. The orange of burning, of buildings consuming themselves. The glow pulses and flickers. Smoke rises in a column visible even in darkness, backlit by the flames beneath. Where, you ask? North End, maybe. Maybe Prince Street close. Too close. Master Grayford appears at the top of the ladder already dressed. His face is grim in the lamplight he carries. Get dressed, he says, all of you. We're going. Going where? Silas asks. First words you've heard him speak in 2 days. To help. The city has fire brigades, but they'll need every able body. If that fire reaches Charter Street, we lose everything. You dress in the dark, hands shaking, not from cold, from something else. Fear, maybe. Or just the shock of being ripped from sleep into crisis. Your fingers fumble with the ties on your breeches. Declan is already pulling on his boots, cursing in Irish under his breath. Downstairs, Master Grayford is gathering equipment, 2 leather buckets from the corner, a heavy wool blanket soaked and dripping. The buckets stay with you, he tells you and Silas. Don't lose them. Don't set them down. We'll be passing water for hours. Hours, you say. He looks at you. His eyes are flat. I was at the Great Fire of 25. Burned for 3 days. Took half of Hanover Street. This isn't as big yet, but it could be. Yet. Outside Charter Street is filling with people. Everyone awake. Everyone moving toward the orange glow. Some carrying buckets like yours. Some carrying nothing, just running toward the fire like it's pulling them. You see women in nightclothes, children being carried, old men hobbling on canes. The smoke reaches you before you reach the fire. It's thick, acrid, wrong-smelling. Not just wood smoke. Something else burning. Fabric, maybe, or paint. The smoke gets in your throat, makes you cough. You're running now. Following Master Grayford through streets you barely know. Charter to Hanover, then north. The orange glow is getting brighter. The smoke is getting thicker. Your eyes are watering. And then you see it. The fire is on North Square. 4 buildings, no 5 fully engulfed. Flames are climbing the walls like living things, like creatures made of light and heat trying to escape upward. The heat hits you from 50 feet away. It's like standing in front of a blast furnace, like the forge at O'Brien's, but 100 times hotter. People are everywhere, running toward the buildings, running away from them. A bucket brigade has already formed a line of maybe 30 people stretching from the nearest well to the fire. They're passing buckets, hand to hand, throwing water on the flames, passing the empty buckets back. It's completely futile. You can see that immediately. The water they're throwing evaporates before it even touches the buildings. This fire is too big, too hot, too hungry. It's eating through 3 centuries of wooden construction like paper. But they're trying anyway. Because what else can you do? Master Grayford pushes you into the line. You're between a baker you don't know and a woman who might be a seamstress. The buckets start coming, heavy, sloshing. You pass them forward with both hands, receive the empty ones, coming back, turn, and pass those to the person behind you. The rhythm is brutal. Bucket forward, bucket back, bucket forward, bucket back. No time to rest, no time to think. Your arms start burning after 5 minutes. After 10 minutes, they're screaming. After 20, you can barely lift the buckets. But you keep going, because everyone around you is keeping going. The baker with flour in his hair, the seamstress with burned hands, the old man 2 positions back who's coughing up black phlegm but won't stop working. Time becomes meaningless. You pass buckets. The fire burns. Water evaporates. More buckets. More fire. More water. At some point, you don't know when a building collapses. Not one of the 5 that were burning when you arrived. A 6th building. The fire spread while you were working. It spreads to a 7th. People are dying. You don't see it happen. Don't see the moment of death. But you see bodies being pulled from wreckage. You see a woman screaming over something covered with a blanket that's too small to be an adult. You see men standing stunned, ash-covered, staring at nothing. The fire brigade from the central station arrives. Professional firefighters with better equipment, pump engines pulled by horses. Longer hoses, axes for breaking down doors and walls. They take over the main effort. Your bucket brigade becomes auxiliary, less critical but still needed. You work for what feels like hours. In reality, it's probably 2 hours, maybe 3. Your hands develop new blisters on top of old calluses. Your lungs burn from the smoke. Ash settles in your hair, on your skin, in the weave of your shirt. Gradually, so gradually you don't notice at first, the fire starts to die. Not because you've beaten it, because it's running out of things to burn. The 7 buildings are consumed, reduced to smoking frameworks of charred timber and collapsed walls. The fire has nowhere else to go. The buildings on either side were made of brick, not wood. They're damaged but standing. The bucket brigade slows, stops. You stand there shaking with exhaustion, holding your empty bucket and wondering what happens now. Around you, people are collapsing where they stand, sitting on cobblestones, lying down. Some are crying, some are silent, some are still staring at the ruins trying to comprehend what just happened. Master Grayford finds you in the crowd. His face is black with soot. His beard, normally gray, is singed brown on one side. "You hurt?" he asks. You shake your head. Can't speak yet. Throat too raw. "Silas." You look around, find Silas leaning against a wall 20 feet away. He's alive. Looks like you feel exhausted, smoke damaged, but intact. "Good day," Master Grayford says. "Let's go home." The walk back to Charter Street is surreal. The sun is coming up. Somewhere during the fire morning arrived. The sky is pale gray, streaked with smoke. The streets are full of people, some returning from the fire, some just waking up to discover what happened. News is already spreading. 7 buildings destroyed, at least 5 people dead. Maybe more, they're still searching the ruins. Dozens homeless. Entire families lost everything. Back at the workshop, you climb to the loft and sit on your pallet. Don't lie down. Can't yet. Your body is too full of adrenaline, too wired from hours of crisis. Declan sits next to you. He smells like smoke and sweat and fear. "Did you see the child?" he asks quietly. "Don't you say," the little girl. "Under the blanket. Couldn't have been more than—" "I said don't." He falls silent. "But you both saw it. The blanket that was too small. The mother screaming. The men standing around not knowing what to do, because there's nothing to do when a child burns to death in a tenement fire. You lie down eventually. The exhaustion wins. But sleep doesn't come easily. Every time you close your eyes, you see orange light. You hear screaming. You smell smoke that isn't there. When you finally do sleep, you dream of fire, of stone burning, of Trinity Cathedral consumed by flames while you stand frozen, unable to move, unable to help. You wake choking on nothing. The sun is high. Midday maybe. You've slept maybe 4 hours. It feels like 4 minutes. Downstairs, Master Grayford is at his bench, not working, just sitting, staring at a block of limestone. "Master," you say. He looks up slowly like he's coming back from somewhere far away. "3 people died," he says. "Patrick Murray, his wife Catherine, their daughter Mary, 7 years old. Couldn't get out in time. The stairs burned first." You say nothing. There's nothing to say. "I knew Patrick," Master Grayford continues. "Did stone work for him 2 years ago. He ran a bakery on North Square. Good man. Owed me $14 for a new oven hearth. I was going to ask for payment next week. He laughs, but there's no humor in it. I suppose I won't see that $14 now. The casual economics of death. A man who owed money now dead. Debt canceled by fire. We're not working today, Master Grayford says. Tomorrow, maybe. Today we just sit with it. But you can't sit with it. Can't stay still. After an hour of trying to rest in the loft, you give up. You need to move. Need to do something. Anything. You walk. No destination. Just through the streets of Boston in the aftermath. Past the fire site where men are still picking through rubble. Past Trinity Church where the stone stands untouched because stone doesn't burn. Past the harbor where ships continue loading and unloading as if nothing happened. You end up in the public garden. It's new, only planted 5 years ago, but it's the closest thing to peace in this city. Trees, grass, a small pond, families walking, children playing who don't yet understand what happened last night. You sit on a bench and watch them. A week passes, then 2. The city absorbs the fire the way it absorbs everything quickly, efficiently, without ceremony. The rubble is cleared, the bodies are buried, the families are homeless until they are not finding rooms in other tenements, other death traps, other buildings that will eventually burn. Life continues because it has to. At the workshop, you return to your capital, the one you started before the fire. The acanthus leaves are still there, half roughed, waiting for your hands to finish them. You pick up your pointing tool, position it, strike. The rhythm comes back slowly. Position, strike, chip, position, strike, chip. But something has changed. You work now with a different awareness. Stone doesn't burn, wood burns, flesh burns, children burn, but limestone carved correctly set in place, correctly mortared, correctly it endures. The fire that killed Patrick Murray and his family was not the first fire in Boston's North End. It will not be the last. But Trinity Church will stand through all of them. Your work will stand. That matters more now than it did 2 weeks ago. Master Grayford starts teaching you the tooth chisel. It's a cool October morning. The Capitol is fully roughed out now, 4 weeks of work with the pointing tool. The basic shape is there. Acanthus leaves curling outward from the central stem. But it's crude still. Blocky. The leaves don't look like leaves yet. That's what the tooth chisel is for. Master Grayford hands you the tool. It's different from the pointing tool, wider with 16 teeth cut across the blade. Each tooth is maybe 1/8 of an inch apart. Drag it, he says. Don't strike it like a chisel. Drag it across the surface. Let the teeth do the work. You position the tooth chisel against one of the roughed out leaves. Apply pressure. Drag it across the stone. It makes a sound like whispering, like the stone is telling you secrets. 16 parallel grooves appear in the limestone. Shallow, even, perfect. Again, Master Grayford says. Same direction. Build up the texture. You drag the chisel again and again. The grooves deepen. After 10 passes, the surface has a visible texture. Not smooth like polished marble. Not rough like raw stone. Something in between. A surface that catches light in one direction, holds shadow in another. Now rotate 30 degrees, Master Grayford says. You rotate the chisel, drag it across the same surface, cutting new grooves that cross the first set at an angle. The effect is immediate. The cross-hatching creates depth, makes the surface recede. The leaf suddenly looks thinner, more delicate, more real. That's how you create form without changing the actual shape, Master Grayford says. Texture is light and shadow. Master that, and you can make stone do anything. You spend the next 3 days learning the tooth chisel, how to angle it for different effects, how much pressure to use, how to create smooth transitions from rough to smooth, from highlighted to shadowed. Your hands develop new calluses. The motion is different from the pointing tool, uses different muscles. Your forearms ache in new ways, but the Capitol is transforming. What was blocky and crude is becoming refined. The leaves are starting to look like leaves. Individual lobes are visible. Veins are suggested. The central stem has depth. On the 4th day, Master Grayford examines your work. He runs his fingers over the surface, feeling for imperfections you can't see. Good, he says. This will do. Tomorrow I'll show you the claw chisel. That's for smoothing, for the final surface before polishing. That evening, you're sent on another errand. Master Grayford needs you to go to Quincy. It's 20 miles south of Boston, a full day's journey. There's a quarry there, Quincy Granite Works, where they cut a rare stone. Quincy granite, blue-gray with flecks of black mica. Harder than limestone, takes a mirror polish, lasts forever. A wealthy client has commissioned a memorial stone. Master Grayford has agreed to carve it, but he needs the right granite. And Gerard Whitestone, the master quarryman in Quincy, has it. Take this, Master Grayford says, handing you a leather purse. You feel the weight of it, heavy. $32. That's for 3 blocks of granite, each one 2 feet square. Gerard knows I'm sending you. He'll treat you fairly. $32. Your hands shake slightly holding it. Don't lose it, Master Grayford says. And don't get robbed. Take the post road. It's longer but safer than the coast road. Leave at first light. You should reach Quincy by noon. Yes, Master? And Ethan? He looks at you directly. Gerard Whitestone taught me everything I know about stone. Taught my master before me. He's 70 years old now. When you meet him, show respect. Listen when he talks. You'll learn more in an hour with Gerard than in a month with me. You leave before dawn. The October morning is cold enough that you can see your breath. You wear your wool cloak thin, but better than nothing. The money is tucked deep inside your shirt, the purse pressing against your ribs with every step. The walk south is peaceful at first. The post road runs through countryside once you're outside Boston proper. Fields, stone walls, scattered farms. This is the Massachusetts you imagined before you arrived, rural quiet. Nothing like the chaos of the North End. You pass through small towns, Milton, Neponset, each one just a cluster of houses around a church and a general store. People stare at you as you pass. Strangers are noticed in places like this. By mid-morning, you're hungry. You stop at a general store in a town whose name you didn't catch. Buy a piece of cornbread for 3 cents. The woman who sells it to you is maybe 60 with kind eyes. Traveling far, she asks. Quincy, on business for my master. Stonemason. You glance down at your hands. Stone dust in every crease. Apprentice. My husband was a stonemason, she says. Died 10 years ago. Lung fever. The dust got him in the end. But he loved the work. Said there's no better feeling than seeing something you made with your hands still standing 50 years later. You think about Trinity Church, about the Capitol you're carving, about Patrick Murray's bakery burned to ash. Yes, ma'am, you say. You reach Quincy just after noon. The town is built around the granite industry. Quarries everywhere, massive pits carved into hillsides exposing the gray stone beneath the soil. You can hear the work from half a mile away, the ring of hammers, the crack of stone splitting. Quincy Granite Works is the largest quarry. You find it easily, just follow the noise. The quarry itself is breathtaking. A pit maybe 200 feet across and 60 feet deep. Men are working at the bottom cutting massive blocks of granite free from the bedrock. Other men are operating derricks, wooden cranes that lift the blocks up and out. Gerard Whitestone's workshop sits at the edge of the quarry. It's twice the size of Master Grayford's, 3 times. You step inside and the smell hits you. Granite dust, which is different from limestone dust. Sharper, harder. Gerard is at a workbench near the back. You recognize him immediately. Not from his appearance, you've never seen him before, but from the way he works. The same total focus Master Grayford has. The same communion with stone. He's old, 70, Master Grayford said. White hair, face carved by time and weather. But his hands, working a claw chisel across a block of granite, are steady as stone itself. You wait until he finishes his stroke. Then you clear your throat. Master Whitestone, Master Grayford sent me. He looks up, pale blue eyes sharp despite his age. You're the apprentice. Ethan. Yes, sir. He sets down his chisel, crosses to you. Before you can say anything, he takes your right hand in both of his turns. It palm up, examines it the way a physician examines a patient. His fingers trace your calluses. The new ones from the tooth chisel. The old ones from the pointing tool. The scar across your knuckle. How long have you been with William, he asks. 10 months, sir. And you're working capitals already. Just roughing them out, sir. Master Grayford does the detail work. Gerard releases your hand. Don't undersell yourself, boy. I can read hands the way some men read books. You've been working tooth chisel. That's advanced. William doesn't teach tooth chisel unless he thinks you're worth teaching. He returns to his bench, gestures for you to follow. The granite is ready. 3 blocks, 2 feet square, finest Quincy gray. Make a content is perfect, just enough to catch light, not so much it weakens the stone. This came from 60 feet down. That's where the best granite is. Near the surface, it's too weathered. He shows you the blocks. They're beautiful, blue-gray, almost metallic. The black mica flecks catch the light like stars. $32 was the agreement, Gerard says. But I'm only charging William $28. Consider the difference a gift. He saved my life once. Sir. 20 years ago, workshop fire. I was trapped under a collapsed beam. William pulled me out, burned his hands doing it. That's where he got those scars. So I owe him. I'll always owe him. You count out $28. Gerard takes it, counts it again, nods. Tell me, he says, why did you become a stonemason? The question surprises you. No one has asked you this before. Not Master Grayford, not Declan or Silas, not your father when you left Vermont. I, I don't know, sir. I wanted to make something that lasts. Why? You think about Chartfield, about the farm, about your father planting crops that would be harvested and eaten and forgotten within a year, about houses built of wood that would rot within a generation. Everything ends, you say slowly. Everything dies or breaks or burns. But stone endures. Trinity Church will stand for 500 years, maybe 1,000. The work I do now will outlast me by centuries. That matters. I don't know why it matters, but it does. Gerard nods slowly. That's a good answer. Better than most give. He crosses to a wooden box on a shelf, opens it. Inside is a piece of granite carved into a perfect sphere, maybe 6 inches across. The surface is polished mirror smooth. I made this 50 years ago, Gerard says, when I was your age. 20 years old, first year as a journeyman. Took me 3 months. Every evening after regular work, I'd polish it, just to see if I could make stone perfectly round and perfectly smooth. He hands you the sphere. It's heavy, cold, flawless. You can see your reflection in it distorted. That sphere will outlast this country, Gerard says. Will outlast the English language, probably. Will outlast the memory of everyone alive today. Long after the quarries are empty and this town is forgotten, that sphere will exist. Stone doesn't care about human time. Stone thinks in epochs. He takes the sphere back, returns it to the box. Your work will outlast you. But more than that, your work will outlast everything you think is permanent. The government, the church, the nation. All of it is temporary compared to stone. You stand there holding this thought, feeling its weight. Come, Gerard says, I'll show you something before you go. He leads you out of the workshop around the quarry up a small hill. At the top stands a church, small, maybe 100 years old, made entirely of Quincy granite. My grandfather carved the lintels over the doors, Gerard says. 1723, 120 years ago. He died in 1730. I never met him, but I've touched his work. I know his hands. He places his palm flat against the stone above the door. Feel it. You do the same. The granite is cool, rough in some places, smooth in others. You can see the chisel marks, can see the decisions made where to leave it rough, where to polish it smooth. You're touching stone cut by a man born in 1680, Gerard says, before there was a United States, before there was a Boston, when this was still Massachusetts Bay Colony and people were burning witches in Salem. Your hand on the stone, his grandfather's hands on this same stone, a chain of touch stretching back through time. That's what we do, Gerard says quietly. We don't just make things that last. We make connections that last. Every stonemason who touches your work in the future to repair it, to study it, to appreciate it, they're touching you. You'll be dead 300 years and your hands will still be real to them. You can't speak. The thought is too large. Gerard smiles. Heavy, isn't it, the weight of permanence? But you chose this work, so you carry it. The walk back to Boston should take 6 hours. You're making good time. The 3 blocks of granite are heavy, maybe 80 pounds total, but Gerard gave you a wooden frame with shoulder straps that distributes the weight. It's late afternoon. The sun is descending toward the western horizon. You have maybe 3 hours of good daylight left. Plenty of time to reach Boston before dark. You're following the Post Road north. It's the main route between Boston and the South Shore. Well traveled, Safe Master Grayford said. The road curves through a stretch of forest. Just a thin strip of trees between 2 cleared areas. Nothing concerning. The road is wide. You can see maybe 100 yards ahead. You're halfway through the trees when you hear voices. You slow. Listen. 2 men, maybe 3, speaking in low tones up ahead, around the curve where you can't see them yet. Every instinct says turn around, go back, take a different route, but there is no different route. This is the post road, the only road. If you turn back, you'll add hours to your journey. You'll be caught outside after dark. You adjust the granite frame on your shoulders. Keep walking. Around the curve, you see them. 3 men sitting on a fallen log at the roadside. They have the look of drifters. Men who've lost everything. Clothes worn through, boots held together with rope, faces hollow from hunger. This is 1844. The panic of 1837. Economic collapse is still echoing through the country. Banks failed, businesses closed, Men who had jobs, had homes, had families, suddenly had nothing. Some became criminals because there was nothing else left to become. The three men see you, stand up. Afternoon friend, the one in the middle says, he's maybe 40, tall, gaunt. His eyes are wrong empty in a way that frightens you. Afternoon, you say, keep walking. He steps into the road, not blocking it completely. Not yet. Heavy load you're carrying. What's in the frame? Stone for my master, stone. The man on the left laughs. He's younger, maybe 30. You're carrying stone must be valuable stone. Just granite for carving. The older man, the one in the middle, tilts his head slightly. Long way from Boston. Where are you coming from? Quincy, I work for a stonemason. We needed granite from the quarry. A stonemason, the man nods slowly. That's good work. Steady work. Your master must pay well. Well enough. How well? Your hand instinctively moves toward your chest. Where the money is, or was. You spent $28. That leaves $4 still tucked against your ribs. The older man sees the gesture. His eyes sharpen. You've got money, he says, not a question. Just a few coins. Let's see them. I need to get back to Boston. My master is expecting me. The third man, older, maybe 50, with a scar across his face, moves to block the road behind you. You're surrounded. Here's how this is going to work, the tall man says. You're going to set down that stone. You're going to give us whatever money you're carrying, and then you're going to walk away. Nobody gets hurt. Your mind is racing. $4. That's your master's money, money for workshop expenses. If you lose it, you'll be in debt. More debt. The kind you can't work off in a year. But if you fight 3 grown men, you'll probably die. I don't want trouble, you say. Neither do we. So let's make this simple. The younger man is moving closer on your left. The scarred man is blocking the road behind. The tall man in front has his hand on something at his belt. A knife, maybe. This is it. The moment where you either hand over Master Grayford's money or you fight and probably die on a forest road 20 miles from Boston. And then you hear hoofbeats. Fast. Getting closer. Someone riding hard. The 3 men hear it too. They exchange glances. The tall man's hand leaves his belt. A rider comes around the curve. A woman on horseback, riding like she owns the road. She's maybe 45, wearing a dark traveling coat and a wide-brimmed hat. She sees the situation immediately. Her hand goes to her saddlebag, rests there. Is there a problem here, gentlemen? The tall man steps back. No problem, ma'am. Just having a conversation with our young friend. It looked like more than a conversation. She focuses on you. Are these men bothering you? Yes, ma'am. She turns back to the 3 men. Her hand is still on the saddlebag. My name is Captain Sarah Blackwood, Boston Constabulary. I'm traveling to visit family in Quincy, and I'm wondering if you 3 have business on this road, or if you're just looking for trouble. Captain, Constabulary. The words hang in the air. The tall man raises his hands. We're just passing through, Captain. Didn't mean any harm. Then pass through somewhere else, away from this road. The 3 men look at each other, look at her hand on the saddlebag, look at you. Then they leave. Not running, just walking into the trees, disappearing like shadows. Captain Blackwood waits until they're gone. Then she looks at you. You hurt? No, ma'am. Thank you. What are you carrying? Granite from Quincy. I'm an apprentice stonemason. My master sent me to fetch it. She nods. You're lucky I came along. Those men would have robbed you, maybe killed you. She pauses. The post road is usually safe, but times are hard. Desperate men do desperate things. Yes, ma'am. I'm riding to Quincy. You're heading to Boston. Different directions. But I'll tell you this, don't stop until you're inside the city walls. Don't talk to anyone. Don't show that you're carrying money if you are. And next time your master sends you on a journey like this, tell him to send 2 apprentices, not 1. I will, ma'am. She touches her hat in a small salute. Safe travels, boy. Then she's riding past you south toward Quincy, leaving you alone on the road with your heart hammering and your hands shaking. You stand there for a long moment. Then you start walking. Fast. Don't look back. Don't stop. The sun is setting when you reach Boston. The city gates are still open, but the guards are preparing to close them for the night. You pass through without incident. Just another apprentice returning from an errand. Charter Street, the workshop. You're shaking as you set down the granite frame. Master Grayford is still working by lamplight. You got it, he says, looking at the granite blocks. Yes, master? He studies your face. What happened? Nothing, master, just a long walk. He doesn't believe you, you can see that. But he doesn't press. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll start planning the memorial stone. You climb to the loft, lie down. Your whole body is trembling, and now that the danger has passed, you came within minutes, maybe seconds, of being robbed and killed on a forest road. You're 19 years old. You're carrying stone for a cathedral. You're learning a craft that will outlast nations. And you almost died today for $4. The weight of it hits you, not just the fear, the randomness. If Captain Blackwood had been 5 minutes later, you'd be dead in those trees. Your body wouldn't be found for days. Master Grayford would think you ran off with his money. But she wasn't 5 minutes later. She was exactly on time. Luck, providence, chance, whatever you call it. You're alive. The granite is safe. The money is safe. You survived. Tomorrow you'll carve stone, the day after that. But tonight you just lie there in the dark, breathing, feeling your heart slowly return to normal, grateful for a life that almost ended and didn't, grateful for stone that will outlast this fear, grateful for work that matters more than the danger required to do it. Sleep comes eventually. Tomorrow the bells will ring. Tomorrow you'll wake to cold and dust and the weight of permanence. But tonight you've earned this rest. Take it. That's how long it takes to go from terrified farm boy to something resembling a craftsman. 5 years of cold mornings and bleeding hands and stone dust in your lungs. 5 years of Master Grayford's silences and Declan's drinking and Silas's quiet grief. 5 years of watching Boston grow and burn and grow again. It's 1848 now. You're 24 years old. The face that looks back at you from the polished granite sphere. Gerard's sphere, the one he lets you borrow sometimes for practice, is different from the face that arrived in Boston in 1843. Harder, older. The softness of farm life is gone. Your jaw is more defined, though that might just be from losing weight. Your eyes have lines at the corners from squinting at stone in bright light. Your hands tell the real story. The calluses have layered so thick they're like leather. The scars, too many to count, have all turned white. The index finger on your left hand sits slightly crooked where you broke it 2 years ago and it healed wrong. Your palms are so ingrained with stone dust that the lines look like they've been drawn in charcoal. These are a craftsman's hands now, a journeyman's hands. You made journeyman 6 months ago, March 1848. Master Grayford called you into the workshop on a Saturday morning. Unusual, you don't usually work Saturdays. He had 3 other master craftsmen with him, men you recognize from around Boston. The guild members who examine apprentices and judge whether they're ready. They examined your work, 5 years of it. Capitals and corbels and molding in the memorial stone for the banker's wife that took you 6 months. They asked questions, tested your knowledge of stone types, grain structures, proper bedding planes. They watched you work 2 hours of carving while they stood silent, judging every strike. Then they left, conferred in the street, came back. Ethan Marlowe, the eldest one, said, "The guild recognizes you as journeyman stonemason. You may now work for wages, take commissions, and begin saving toward your master's examination." That was it. No ceremony, no celebration, just acknowledgement of competence. But Master Grayford shook your hand afterward. First time he'd ever done that. His grip was strong, his eyes bright. "Your father would be proud," he said. "You haven't seen your father in 5 years. Haven't been back to Chartfield? Once. You send money home when you can, $5 here, 10 there. Your mother writes back. Short letters. Your father never signs them, but she says he reads them. Says he keeps them in a drawer in the kitchen. That's as close to pride as you're likely to get from him. Journeyman wages are $18 a week. It sounds like a fortune compared to the nothing you earned as an apprentice. But Boston is expensive. Everything costs more than it used to. Your room costs $6 a week now. Not the loft you moved out of the workshop loft 2 years ago. You rent a room in a boarding house on Salem Street. It's small, maybe 10 feet by 12. Just a bed, a chair, a small table. But it's yours. No one else sleeps there. No one's snoring keeps you awake. No one's nightmares wake you at 3 in the morning. Privacy is expensive, worth every penny. Food costs $4 a week if you're careful. The boarding house provides breakfast, coffee, and bread. You buy lunch from street vendors. Apples, cornbread, sometimes salt pork. Dinner you usually skip or eat bread and cheese in your room. That leaves $8 a week. $4 you save. $4 for everything else, clothes, tools, emergencies, the constant small expenses of staying alive in a city. After 6 months as journeyman, you've saved nearly $500. It's hidden in your room, wrapped in oilcloth, tucked between the floorboards under your bed. $500, more money than your father has seen in his entire life. More money than most men in Boston will ever save. It's not enough. To become a master craftsman, to open your own workshop, take on your own apprentices, you need capital, equipment, space, contacts. The guild says $1,000 minimum. Some say $1,500 to be safe. At your current rate, saving $4 a week, it will take you another 5 years to reach $1,000. And that assumes nothing goes wrong. No illness, no injury, no economic collapse like the panic of 1837 that left men like those on the post road desperate enough to kill for pocket change. 5 more years. You're 24. By the time you're 29, you could be Master Ethan Marlowe, proprietor of your own workshop. Employer of apprentices. Maker of things that last. The thought sustains you through the cold mornings and the long days and the nights when your hands ache so badly you can't sleep. 5 more years. You can do 5 more years. On a Wednesday morning in October, a man comes to the workshop. He's wealthy. You can tell immediately. His coat is tailored dark wool with brass buttons. His boots are polished. His hat is beaver felt expensive. He carries himself like someone used to being listened to. Master Grayford greets him at the door. Mr. Crown and Shield. Welcome. Crown and Shield. You know that name. Nathaniel Crown and Shield, shipping magnate, owns half the warehouses on the waterfront. You saw him once 5 years ago arguing with an Irish cart vendor over spilled goods. Threatened the man, nearly hit him. That was a lifetime ago. Before the fire, before the journey to Quincy, before you understood how the world actually works. Master Grayford, Crown and Shield says. His voice is cultured, educated. I've come to discuss a commission. Of course, please. Master Grayford gestures to his office, a small room off the main workshop. Ethan, bring tea. You prepare tea, the good tea kept for clients. While the water boils, you listen through the wall. I'm building a private chapel, Crown and Shield says. In my home on Beacon Hill, I want the finest stonework Boston can provide. I've seen your work in Trinity. Those capitals are exceptional. Thank you, sir. I want something similar, but more personal. My family's chapel, a place of beauty and prayer. They discuss details, dimensions, style, timeline. You hear numbers, large numbers, $160 for the commission. Maybe more depending on complexity. When you bring the tea, Crown and Shield is sketching on paper, rough drawings of columns and arches and altar designs. He looks up when you enter, studies you for a long moment. This is your journeyman, he asked Master Grayford. My senior journeyman, Ethan Marlowe, best young carver in Boston. Crown and Shield stands, walks toward you, takes your hand not to shake it, to examine it. He turns it over, looks at the calluses, the scars, the crooked finger. You did the memorial stone for Jonathan Hutchinson's wife, he says. Yes, sir, 2 years ago. I saw it in Mount Auburn Cemetery. The inscription work was remarkable. Each letter perfectly formed. The depth consistent across 3 feet of text. How long did that take you? 6 months, sir. 6 months for one stone. He releases your hand, looks at Master Grayford. I want him to lead this commission. Silence in the workshop. Declan stops hammering. Silas looks up from his bench. Master Grayford's face is carefully neutral. Mr. Crown and Shield, he says slowly, Ethan is talented, yes, but he's only just made journeyman. A commission of this size. I don't want a safe choice. Crown and Shield interrupts. I want the best. I've seen enough stonework to know talent when I see it. This young man has it. He turns back to you. I'll pay $160. 70% to Master Grayford for materials and workshop use. 30% to you for the carving. That's $48. For 4 months of work, that's $12 a month on top of your regular wages. $48? Your mind is calculating faster than your heart can keep up. That's 12 weeks of savings. 3 months closer to your $1,000. 3 months closer to being a master yourself. What do you say, Ethan Marlowe? Crown and Shield asks. You look at Master Grayford. He's watching you carefully. Not telling you what to do, waiting to see what you choose. I'd be honored, sir, you say. Crown and Shield smiles. Good. I'll have the contracts drawn up. Master Grayford will discuss materials and timeline. I want this completed by February. 4 months. $160. Your first major commission as primary carver. After Crown and Shield leaves, Master Grayford sits at his bench for a long time without speaking. Then he looks up at you. This is your chance, he says quietly. Don't waste it. I won't, Master. And Ethan Crown and Shield is a hard man, demanding. He'll want perfection. Can you give him that? You think about 5 years of work, 5 years of learning. 5 years of stone dust and bleeding hands and incremental progress toward competence. Yes, master, I can. The design takes 2 weeks. You work at night in your room by candlelight, sketching, calculating, redesigning. The chapel is small, maybe 12 feet by 15, but Crown and Shield wants it perfect. Gothic revival style, like Trinity, but intimate, personal. You design 4 columns with capitals, simpler than the Trinity capitals, but more refined. You've learned subtlety in 5 years. Learn that sometimes less detail executed perfectly speaks louder than elaborate carving executed poorly. The altar is the centerpiece. 3 feet high, 4 feet wide. You design panels for the front, carved scenes from Scripture. The Nativity, the Crucifixion, the Resurrection. Traditional themes, but you plan to execute them with a level of precision you've never attempted before. When you show the designs to Crown and Shield, he studies them for 20 minutes in silence. Then he nods. Perfect, he says, exactly what I wanted. Begin immediately. The stone arrives the next week. Quincy granite for the columns, the same blue-gray stone you brought back from Girard 5 years ago. Limestone from Indiana for the capitals. And for the altar panels, something special. Master Grayford shows you the delivery. 3 blocks of stone you've never seen before. Dark, almost black, with white streaks running through it like lightning. Marble, he says, from Vermont. Your Vermont, the quarry's near Rutland. This is the finest marble in America. Harder than limestone, softer than granite. Carves like butter, if you know what you're doing. Polishes to a mirror finish. You run your hands over the marble. It's cold, smooth, beautiful. Don't ruin it, Master Grayford says. You work on the Crown and Shield Commission every day for 4 months. The columns come first. Quincy granite is harder than limestone, harder than anything you've worked with except for practice pieces. It fights you. Every strike must be perfect. Too hard and the granite chips unpredictably. Too soft and nothing happens. You develop new calluses, new rhythms, new respect for Girard and the quarrymen who cut this stone from the earth. The capitals are limestone familiar. You carve them with confidence now. Acanthus leaves, yes, but stylized, more abstract. The kind of design that looks simple until you try to execute it and realize how difficult it is to make simplicity look intentional. But the altar panels, the marble, that's where you pour everything you've learned. You start with the Nativity, Mary and Joseph, and the infant Christ. The challenge is making the figures look real while keeping them reverent. Too realistic and it becomes illustration, not worship. Too abstract and it loses meaning. You work the marble slowly. The claw chisel first creating the basic forms, then the tooth chisel building texture, then finer tools, flat chisels, scrapers, files. The marble responds beautifully. Every mark you make is exactly the mark you intended. The stone trusts your hands. Mary's face emerges, young, tired, holy. You give her your mother's eyes, the same expression she had when you left for Boston, sad but proud. Letting you go because she knows you need to go. Joseph stands behind her, protective, uncertain. You give him your father's jaw, the same set to his shoulders, the weight of responsibility. And the child, you've seen death in Boston, seen children who didn't survive cholera fire poverty. You've seen Mary Murray, 7 years old, burned in the North End fire. You carved the Christ child with that knowledge. Fragile, mortal, wholly because of its mortality, not despite it. The work takes 6 weeks just for the Nativity panel. Every evening after your regular work at the workshop, you return to your room and carve marble by candlelight. Your hands bleed, your eyes strain, your back develops a permanent ache from hunching over the stone. But the panel is perfect. Master Grayford examines it on a Sunday morning. He runs his fingers over Mary's face, traces the folds of her robe, studies the infant's tiny hands. This is master-level work, he says quietly. Better than master level. This is art. You don't know what to say. You've never heard him give praise like this. When I was your age, he continues, I couldn't have carved this. I was good with stone, yes, competent, but this, he shakes his head. You have a gift, Ethan. Don't waste it. The crucifixion panel takes 8 weeks, longer than the Nativity because it's more complex, more figures, more emotion. The challenge is making suffering beautiful, making death redemptive. You carve Christ on the cross with his head bowed, not in agony and acceptance, in the completion of purpose. Around him, the witnesses, Mary, John, the soldiers, each face telling a different story about what it means to watch someone die. You're drawing on memory now, Not just scripture, but life. Patrick Murray dying in the fire. The bodies at the fire site. The way people look when they realize someone they love is gone. But also hope. Also resurrection. The stone has to hold both the weight of death and the lightness of promise. That's what makes it sacred. The resurrection panel is last. 3 weeks. Shortest time because it's simplest in composition. Christ emerging from the tomb. The stone rolled away, light breaking into darkness. You make it abstract, just the suggestion of a figure, just the implication of movement. Let the viewer's mind complete the image. Let their faith fill the gaps. When it's finished, you polish all 3 panels for a week. The marble takes a shine like glass. You can see your reflection in Christ's face, in Mary's eyes, in the empty tomb. February comes. The chapel is ready for installation. Crown and Shield's home on Beacon Hill is the largest private residence you've ever entered. 3 stories, marble floors, servants, oil paintings on the walls worth more than Master Grayford's entire workshop. The chapel is on the 2nd floor. Small, yes, but perfect. Afternoon light comes through 2 tall windows. The columns you carved are already installed. The Quincy granite looks like it's been there forever. Your altar panels are installed last. 3 men carry each one. Set them carefully into the frame. The marble catches the window light and glows. Crown and Shield stands in his chapel for a long time, saying nothing. His wife is with him, a woman maybe 40 years old, elegant, quiet. She's crying. Finally, Crown and Shield speaks. It's extraordinary. Better than I imagined. Better than I thought possible. He turns to you. You're 24 years old. Yes, sir. In 5 years, 10 years, you'll be one of the finest craftsmen in America. Mark my words. He pays you the $48 that evening in gold coins. You've never held that much money at once. The weight of it is terrifying. Use it wisely, he says. You will. You'll save every penny. Add it to your $500. Get that much closer to your 1,000. That much closer to being a master yourself. Winter passes. Spring comes again. 5 years in Boston. You barely recognize the boy who arrived in 1843. That boy was terrified of everything. This man you're starting to think of yourself as a man now still has fear, but it's different. Informed. Realistic. The fear of someone who knows what can go wrong because he's seen it go wrong. On a Sunday in April, you're walking past Trinity Church. Not unusual, you walk past Trinity several times a week. But today there's activity. The scaffolding is coming down from the western facade. The expansion is finally complete. 5 years of construction. Your capitals are inside. 9 of them carved over your first 3 years as an apprentice. You've seen them installed, but you haven't seen the whole church complete. Haven't seen it as it was meant to be seen, unified, finished, perfect. The doors are open. Sunday services just ended. People are leaving. You wait until the crowd thins, then step inside. The silence hits you first, then the light. Trinity's interior is designed around light. The rose window throws blue and gold across the limestone walls. The clerestory windows high up near the ceiling pour white light down onto the columns. Your columns, your capitals, you walk slowly down the nave. Your footsteps echo. The ceiling soars 60 feet above you. The arches curve with mathematical precision. The stone speaks of permanence, of devotion of human hands, working in service of something larger than themselves. Your capital is in the third side chapel on the right. You've known this for years, but you haven't seen it like this, complete in context, part of the whole. It's beautiful. The acanthus leaves you carved 5 years ago with shaking hands and bleeding fingers. The cross-hatching you learned from Master Grayford. The way light catches the rough texture and shadow fills the smooth. All of it works. All of it speaks. You stand there for a long time looking at something you made when you were 19 years old. Looking at work that will outlast you by centuries. It's good work. You turn. An old priest is standing nearby. He's maybe 70. White hair. Kind eyes. Did you carve this? He asks. Yes, Father. 5 years ago, I was an apprentice. It's masterful. The detail is extraordinary. But more than that, it's alive. Stone shouldn't be alive, but this is. I can almost see the leaves moving. Thank you, Father. What's your name, son? Ethan Marlowe. He nods slowly. I'll remember that name. Years from now, when people ask who carved these capitals, I'll tell them. Ethan Marlowe. He was young, he was gifted, he made stone live. The old priest walks away, leaving you alone in the chapel with your work. You touch the stone, the same way Gerard taught you, palm flat against the surface, feeling the texture, the temperature, the permanence. Your hands carved this. Your decisions about rough and smooth shadow and light. your understanding of how stone speaks. 500 years from now, someone will touch this same surface. They won't know your name. The priest's memory won't last that long. They won't know you were 19 and terrified and working for no wages. Won't know your hands were bleeding or that you went to bed hungry most nights. They'll just see the stone. But you'll be there in every chisel mark, in every decision, in the permanent truth of the work. That's enough. That has to be enough. A week later, you're in the workshop when Silas collapses. He's been coughing for months. Everyone coughs, stone dust does that. But Silas's cough is different, wet, productive. Sometimes there's blood. He's at his bench working on a corbel when he doubles over. The coughing fit lasts 30 seconds. When it stops, he's on his knees spitting blood onto the floor. Master Grayford and Declan get him to his bed in the loft. You fetch a doctor. The doctor examines Silas, listens to his chest, asks questions. Silas can barely answer. Consumption, the doctor says. Advanced. The stone dust accelerated it. His lungs are damaged beyond repair. How long? Master Grayford asks. Months, maybe weeks. Silas dies on a Tuesday morning in May. 25 years old. He's been with Master Grayford for 7 years. Worked it every day. Never complained. Saved almost nothing, sent every penny back to his uncle in Pennsylvania, the only family he had left after cholera took his parents. He dies quietly. Just stops breathing. You're there when it happens. You and Declan and Master Grayford. Sitting with him because no one should die alone. After you help carry his body down the stairs. Help wash it. Help wrap it in cloth. Help bury it in the public cemetery where they bury the poor, the ones who can't afford private plots. Master Grayford pays for the burial. $20. He doesn't have to. Silas's uncle should pay. But Master Grayford pays anyway. He was my apprentice, he says. My responsibility. That evening, the three of you remaining Master Grayford, Declan, and you sit in the workshop drinking whiskey. Real whiskey, not the cheap rum Declan usually buys. Silas was quiet, Master Grayford says. But he was good. His corbels were always level. His measurements always exact. He never wasted stone. He never wasted anything, Declan adds. His accent is thick from whiskey and grief. Wore the same boots for 4 years. Patched them himself. He could have bought new ones, but he sent the money home instead. You think about Silas, about his silence, about the way he worked methodical, precise, uncomplaining, about hands that carved stone for 7 years and saved nothing for themselves. What did he save, you ask? In 7 years, what did he have? Master Grayford looks at you. He has 3 corbels in Trinity Church. They'll stand for 500 years. That's what he saved. That's not enough. No, Master Grayford agrees. It's not. But it's more than most men save. Most men leave nothing. Silas left stone. The whiskey is bitter. You drink it anyway. That night, lying in your own bed, in your own room, you think about mortality. About how fragile life is. About how Silas carved stone that will outlast nations while his own body failed at 25. You think about the $500 hidden under your floorboards. About your plan to reach $1,000, become a master, open a workshop. 5 more years of saving. If you live that long. If consumption doesn't get you first. If fire or cholera or simple bad luck doesn't kill you the way it killed Patrick Murray and his daughter, and Silas and the hundreds of other people who came to Boston hoping for more than they found. You could die tomorrow, next week, next year. Your work would remain, your capitals in Trinity, the crown and shield altar, the memorial stones and corbels and moldings scattered across Boston. But you wouldn't be there to see it, wouldn't become a master, wouldn't open your own workshop, wouldn't teach your own apprentices the way Master Grayford taught you. The thought keeps you awake until dawn. On a Thursday afternoon, there's a knock at the workshop door. You open it. A woman stands there, Irish, maybe 40 years old. 2 children with her, a boy around 10, a girl around 8. They're thin, poorly dressed, but clean. I'm looking for Master Grayford, the woman says. He's in the workshop. May I tell him who's calling? Catherine Murphy. He might not remember me. The name strikes you. Murphy. Like Patrick Murphy, who died in the fire 5 years ago. Master Grayford comes to the door, sees the woman. His face changes. Mrs. Murphy, he says quietly. Master Grayford, I wanted to thank you for what you did. I didn't do anything. You paid for Patrick's burial, for Catherine and Mary, when no one else would. The priest told me. 5 years ago, the fire, Patrick Murphy, the baker, and his wife and daughter, Master Greyford paid for their burial. Never mentioned it. You only found out later by accident. It was nothing, Master Greyford says. It wasn't nothing to me. Catherine Murphy's eyes are wet. Patrick would have wanted his family buried properly. You gave us that. I never forgot. The children stand silent behind her. The boy has Patrick's jaw. The girl has his eyes. Wait, the girl. Your daughter, you say, Mary. She died in the fire. Catherine looks at you confused. Mary, no, Mary is here. She puts her hand on the girl's shoulder. But the child, at the fire, under the blanket. Understanding crosses Catherine's face. That was Bridget, our youngest. She was 3. Mary was with my sister that night. She survived. 5 years. You've carried the image of Mary Murphy dead for 5 years, and she's been alive the whole time. The girl, Mary, 10 years old now, looks at you with curious eyes. Are you a stonemason? She asks. I am. No, my dad wanted to be a stonemason before he was a baker. He said stone lasts forever. You can't speak, can't process this. The dead child you've carried in your nightmares for 5 years is alive, standing in front of you, asking about stone. Catherine Murphy reaches into a basket she's carrying, pulls out bread. Fresh bread, still warm. I'm a baker now, she says. Took over Patrick's trade. This is for you, for the burial. I know it's late, but I wanted you to know I never forgot. Master Greyford takes the bread. Thank you, Mrs. Murphy. You didn't have to. I did. Patrick always said debts should be paid. She pauses. And I wanted to tell you Mary starts apprenticing next year with a seamstress. She's good with her hands, precise, like Patrick was. Mary is alive. The world is different than you thought. After the Murphys leave, you sit at your workbench and stare at nothing. You thought she was dead, Master Greyford says. Not a question. I saw, at the fire, a child, under a blanket. I thought it was Mary. It was Bridget, different child, both Patrick's daughters, but different. I've been carrying that for 5 years. I know, I could see it in you, the way you worked after the fire, like you were trying to outrun something. You pick up your mallet, set it down, pick it up again. She's alive, you say. Yes. Stone lasts forever, but so do people. Sometimes. Master Greyford nods. Sometimes. Summer, fall, winter again. 5 years becomes 6. 6 becomes 7. Your savings reach $800, then $900. Then in March of 1851, $1,000 exactly. You're 26 years old. You have enough capital to petition the guild for your master's examination. The examination takes 3 days. The guild masters, 7 of them all, men over 50, watch you work. They give you a block of Quincy granite, tell you to carve a capital in the Corinthian style. No reference drawings, no help, just you and the stone. You work for 30 hours over 3 days. Your hands bleed, your eyes blur. But the capital emerges, perfect proportions, precise detail, light and shadow exactly where they should be. The masters examine it, measure it, compare it to classical examples. Then they confer in private. When they return, the eldest speaks. Ethan Marlowe, the guild recognizes you as master stonemason. You may now open your own workshop, train apprentices, and bid on contracts independently. Master Ethan Marlowe, you've reached it. The thing you came to Boston for 7 years ago. The dream that sustained you through cold and hunger and fear. Master Greyford shakes your hand. Well done, he says. Now the real work begins. You open your workshop in April 1850. It's small, just 20 feet by 30, on Salem Street, 3 blocks from Master Greyford's place. The rent is $15 a month. High, but worth it for the location. You invest $500 of your $1,000 in equipment, tools, stone, a small forge. The other $500 you keep for operating expenses, for lean months, for emergencies. You hire one apprentice, a boy named Marcus, 17 years old, from Rhode Island. He reminds you of yourself 7 years ago, terrified, eager, completely unprepared for what's coming. You teach him the way Master Greyford taught you, patiently, silently. Let the stone do most of the teaching, correct mistakes without cruelty, praise competence without excess. The work comes slowly at first. Small commissions, repairs, maintenance work on existing buildings. You're unknown as a master. People want proven craftsmen. But then word spreads about the Crown and Shield Chapel, about the altar panels, about the young master who can make marble live. Commissions increase. A memorial stone for a judge's wife. Corbels for a new bank building. Capitals for a church in Cambridge. You're working 16 hours a day, teaching Marcus, carving your own pieces, managing the business. It's exhausting. It's brutal. It's exactly what you wanted. December 1850. You're standing in Trinity Church, not working, just visiting. The capitals you carved 7 years ago are still there, still perfect, still speaking their truth about light and shadow and permanence. You run your fingers over the acanthus leaves. Feel the texture, the decisions you made when you were 19 and terrified. That boy is gone. That apprentice who arrived from Vermont with nothing, who slept on straw and went hungry and didn't know if he'd survive. He's gone. You've become someone else. Master Ethan Marlowe, proprietor of Marlowe Stone Works, employer of apprentices, maker of things that last. But the stone remembers. The stone holds both versions of you, the terrified boy and the competent man. Both exist in these chisel marks. Both are real. You close your eyes, feel the cool stone under your palm. In 500 years, someone will touch this same surface. They won't know you were 19 when you carved it, or 26 when you returned to see it completed. They won't know about the fire or the journey to Quincy, or Silas dying in the loft, or Mary Murphy alive when you thought she was dead. They'll just see stone, but you'll be there, in every mark, in every decision, in the permanent truth of work done well by hands that learn to serve something larger than themselves. That's the bargain you made. Stone for mortality, permanence for pain, legacy for the brief, brutal beauty of being alive. Fair trade. You open your eyes, leave the church, walk out into Boston's December cold. Tomorrow you'll wake early, teach Marcus about the tooth chisel, work on the commission for the Cambridge church, manage the finances, worry about next month's rent. Tomorrow you'll be tired and cold, and your hands will ache, and you'll question whether this life was worth choosing. But tonight, walking home through streets you know by heart, now passing buildings, you've worked on seeing your reflection in shop windows tonight, you know the answer. It was worth it. The stone will remain. 500 years, 1,000. Your hands permanent in limestone and granite and marble. Your choices visible forever. That's enough, more than enough. Let the night settle around you. Let the cold air fill your lungs. Let your footsteps echo on cobblestones worn smooth by a million other footsteps. Let your breathing slow. You've earned this rest. The stone remembers. That's enough. Good night.